Candy brands to avoid at all costs. Some people say, candy is basically sugar-coated heroin for your brain, and you might find that overly dramatic, but trust me, the science backing it up isn't far off. A review in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, for example, found that consuming sugar produces effects similar to that of cocaine, leading to seeking out of sugar, and that in animal tests, sugar was more addictive than even cocaine. So in other words, every time you pop a piece of candy, yes, you'll get a tiny jolt of pure pleasure, but there's more to that sweet feeling. Stick around, because in this video, you'll learn exactly which popular candies are secretly toxic or downright dangerous, and why you should drop them immediately. First things though, let's look at one of the most insane candy stories out there. Remember those bright, hard Jolly Rancher candies that came in watermelon, cherry, and blue raspberry flavors? Well, the UK's Food Standards Agency just declared them unsafe to eat. Why? Because lab tests found that Hershey's Jolly Ranchers are literally coated in petroleum. Yes, the candies contain mineral oil, aromatic hydrocarbons, and saturated hydrocarbons, which are crude oil byproducts used to keep them shiny and non-sticky. In fact, British regulators have noted that some of these hydrocarbon compounds are genotoxic carcinogens, that is, known to mutate DNA and cause cancer. What this means is your innocent green apple Jolly Rancher might as well have been dipped in diesel. Currently, even Harvard nutrition experts are gobsmacked. Wired magazine reported that European Union regulators banned these oil additives in food due to cancer concerns, and called Jolly Ranchers a toxicological concern. The FSA also warned Britons, saying, if you've eaten them, there's no need for concern, but don't eat any more. Meanwhile, Hershey's spokesperson basically shrugged, noting that mineral oil is allowed and deemed safe in U.S. foods. So in other words, Americans are still eating what Europe calls illegal chemicals. Now that we've seen how a candy can sneak in crude oil, let's ask, if Jolly Ranchers slip past the Food and Drug Administration, what about the neon colors and other treats? Let's look into that for a minute. We know that Jolly Ranchers are pretty wild, but have you heard of a brand named Skittles? Skittles are taste the rainbow candies that get their vivid hues from synthetic dyes and even from a whitening powder banned in other countries. For example, Skittles and many Mars candies use titanium dioxide to make the candy shell look extra white and shiny. In 2022, the European Union actually banned titanium dioxide as a food additive when studies showed it can cause DNA damage. But in the US, it's still on the label. Imagine snacking on something Europeans call a carcinogen, and that's not all either. Every bright red, green, or blue Skittle is dyed with artificial F, D, and C colorants that have raised health red flags for years, being linked to hyperactivity in kids and possibly cancer, which is why even California has moved to ban several of them. Just last year, California outlawed red dye number 3 and demanded that red 40 and yellow 5 or 6 be phased out by 2027. The FDA has also announced plans to remove those dyes altogether in line with Robert Kennedy Jr.'s Make America Healthy Again initiative. Yet today, you can still buy a big bowl of Skittles that's basically legal for kids, but illegal over in Europe. What about Starburst fruit chews? They contain hydrogenated palm kernel oil, which, in other words, means trans fats. Mayo Clinic warns trans fats are the worst fat because they raise your bad LDL cholesterol and lower the good HDL, triggering heart disease. Starburst are also about 50% sugar and colored with red 40, or blue 1, or yellow 6, the same dyes that California and the FDA are phasing out. So essentially, you're eating industrial-grade sugar with banned additives. Now ask yourself, if the FDA let crude oil chemicals slide in Jolly Ranchers, it's no surprise they're slow on dyes too. Many candy makers like Mars and Nestle may have agreed to phase out these dyes by the mid-2020s, but until then, dozens of popular candies still use them. That means Skittles, Starburst, and similar neon candies should be on your avoid list. At this point, we'll switch gears from dyes to fats and sugar. Take Twizzlers licorice twists, for example. At first glance, they look simple. Just starch and sugar, right? Wrong. EWG's food database flags Twizzlers for containing shortening or partially hydrogenated oil, which is trans fat. Even if the label says 0 grams trans fat, the shortening in Twizzlers remains a hidden source. The Mayo Clinic has kept no secret from the public. Trans fats raise LDL cholesterol and lower HDL, making heart attacks and strokes more likely. So, in fact, any food with partially hydrogenated oils is effectively a cardiovascular grenade, and the FDA has tried to eliminate most of these, but older products can still slip through. Then, as if that wasn't bad enough, Twizzlers also pack 3 synthetic dyes: red 40, blue 1, yellow 5, and sugar. About 40% of a Twizzler by weight is sugar, which is roughly 3 teaspoons per serving. This means that in short, Twizzlers are a triple threat: sugar, plus trans fat, plus dyes. Every bite ticks off 3 nutrition, do not eat boxes. Also, what about Laffy Taffy or other soft chews? The watermelon Laffy Taffy, for example, is a whopping 53% sugar and has red 40, so it's basically colored sugar. The EWG report bluntly says, 1 pack containing 6 pieces has 6 teaspoons of added sugar. So even if you try to eat just 1, that's a sugar surge that your body won't thank you for. Warheads and other sour candies belong in this group too. One EWG analysis found Warheads Extreme Sour Candy to be 63% sugar by weight. That's 3 teaspoons each laced with red 40, blue 1, yellow 5. So they're about as healthy as shoving a sugar cube laced with food dye in your mouth. The bottom line is, any candy that lists high fructose corn syrup or partially hydrogenated oils and a laundry list of E-numbers for artificial colors is basically junk food 101, and you should avoid it. Now, you might have thought the worst case scenario was chemicals, but criminals have given us a bigger issue to dread: candy that's possibly been used as a drug smuggling tool. That's right. In 2025, Dutch police discovered Haribo's Happy Cola gummies laced with cannabis, meaning someone literally injected THC oil into candy bags. Kids eating what should have been sweet soda-shaped gummies started feeling dizzy and high. Of course, Haribo immediately recalled the tainted bags, but the message is still chilling. Even trusted candy jars can hide illicit substances. News reports at the time said smugglers were using candy to hide weed, and while that wasn't because of a flaw in Haribo's recipe, it was nonetheless a crime story that underscored one thing: candy packaging is not bulletproof. If malicious agents could slip cannabis into gummies, imagine what else could go wrong in cheap candy production. Some imported candies, especially in developing markets, have turned up with lead, foreign objects, or bootleg content before, so this is not a new thing. That's why you'll need to think twice before assuming that the gummy bear you're about to eat is just gelatin and juice. Besides criminal antics, though, Haribo's gummies and bears are also guilty of containing roughly 50 to 60% sugar with added colors and flavors. Kids love them, but you, the adult, know they leave a sticky mess of sugar, and as we've seen, sometimes worse. So, as you can see, all of the candy brands we've talked about in this video, including the ones we haven't touched, are ultra-processed junk that do nothing for your health or appearance. Eating them regularly only hooks your brain with dopamine while pumping your body with inflammatories. Pretty much the opposite of the energetic, glowing vibe most of us secretly crave. Now, what's your payoff for sitting through that nasty roller coaster? Knowledge. You now know which everyday treats are actually dirt-cheap science experiments, and how ditching those candies means fewer hidden poisons and fewer wasted calories. Your skin will thank you. Your waistline will too. And soon you might notice people calling you looking healthier or brighter. Remember, being attractive isn't just genetics, it's how you treat your body. If you want a bigger reward for making the needed switch in your diet, click through to our next video where we'll reveal another switch that could help you feel and look better than ever. Your future self might thank you for it. See you there.